morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, look at that. Hello there. Is it on? Yes. Welcome, everybody, to this rainy, cool morning. Isn't it lovely? Please join us for our joy song, I'm Glad for This New Day. Welcome, everyone. Turn off your smartphones or your not so smartphones, whichever one you have. I just know some people who still have that little thing that slides up, and yes. So, we don't want to interrupt our service today. I'd like to tell you that we have Julie back for our music today, so let's give her a welcome. Thank you. Pam Woods will be our reader for today. And our message will be brought to us by Doug, so we're in for a wonderful Sunday morning. Come on up, Pam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to read a brief passage from a book that I'm rereading this morning. I want to set it up for you. Jesus has just been to the river. He's been baptized by his cousin, and he's gone to the desert to reflect on this. He's been tempted by the devil, and this is what he has to say to us. So I knew that I must learn to preach in places where I was not known. That much I vowed. And yet, as I took the road from Nazareth to Capernaum, I could feel how my heart was still bruised by what the devil had dared to say against the Lord. And my father had not even defended himself. At that instant, in the midst of such thoughts, I stumbled on the road, and it was an odd misstep. I was lithe of foot, and I fell heavily. A strong arm had hurled me to the earth, and a strong voice spoke in my ear. The words of the prophets are not my words. My prophets are honest, but full of excess. I only said, "My Lord, I feel weak. I am lacking in eloquence." "Yes," the Lord said, "so did Moses say, 'O Lord, I am slow of speech and with slow tongue.' I told him, as I tell you, who made man's mouth? Am I not the Lord? Therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and I will teach you what to say. Your words will not fall on the ground." Given this promise, I felt less uncertain. My father also said, "You can do well in Capernaum. Say but one thing many times. These people are like stones, and they are deaf. Therefore tell them again and again." Thus saith the Lord God, "Do not be concerned with whether they hear. Words are also my creatures, and they travel by many roads." As I came to my feet, can't read my writing. As I came to my feet, I could feel the Spirit lifting me higher, and I heard the wings of invisible creatures flying about me and the sound of 1,000 chariots, a noise of happy clamor that might as well have come from the other side of a hill. The Lord spoke again. "When you believe in me, miracles will be in your hands, your eyes, and your voice. Yes, The hand of the Lord was strong, and I went forth. That is from The Gospel According to the Sun, a novel by Norman Mailer.
All right, friends, our first hymn this morning is on page 97, Abundant Life, and we're going to sing both verses. That's page 97, Abundant Life. We'll sing both verses.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Now is the time in our service for our Bible verse. And today I'm going to start out with Matthew 5. Jesus said, "But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you." I was reading Khalil Gibran, and in his book, The Broken Wings, he said something interesting. He said, "And God said, love your enemy." Listen to this. God said, love your enemy. And I obeyed and loved myself. I fear, and I think that some of us feel that way also. Love your enemy, and we decide to love ourselves, which is what we're supposed to do, but we are never supposed to look at ourselves as the enemy. You know, we all have that, oh, I could have been a little bit better. I could have been a better father. I surely could have been a better spouse. I should have done better in school. I could have done better in business. That's not what it's all about, is it? God is pleased with us just as we are, just as you are. So if anyone says to you, and God said, love your enemy, please decide to love yourself. Thank you. If you'll join me in our reciting the statement of beings now. God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Would you wait? Now's the time in our service for the healing prayer or healing meditation. Please find yourself comfortable, relaxed, seated well with the feet planted firmly on the floor. I think back to the Psalms where David said, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." And that's how we're going to start our healing meditation this morning. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. As we take a deep breath, each of us have come this day with different cares, concerns, ailments, physical even. And as this is our healing meditation, let us take our mind's eye and put it and concentrate on that part that you feel needs to be healed. That arthritis in your toe, your hurt back, your anxious-filled mind, your heavy heart, God is our shepherd. We shall not want. As we are directed to that part which we want healed, know that God knows the heartache. He knows the hurt. He knows the hairs on your head. Release your care, your concern, your worry. Breathe deeply into it. Let's give it over to God, where it belonged all along. Help me now gently turn it over to our Father, Mother, God. In these next 90 seconds to 2 minutes of quietness, let's turn this over to the shepherd. Now, ever so gently bring yourself back to now. Knowing that the Father, Mother, God, this great shepherd, has heard all of our pleas, all of our thanksgivings, all of our gratitudes. And we shall not want. And it is so. Amen. If you'll join me now as we recite the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou give us this day our daily bread. Thou forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory,
forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Well, we're going to start out today. We're going to go back to 1837 to 1921 for a great American naturalist, conservationist, biographer. And his name was George Burroughs. And not only did he contribute with great conservation measures, but he also had this one line, which he is most famous for. Leap and the net will appear. Leap and the net will appear. And we're going to explore that just a little bit this morning. I don't know if you do, but I like a good summer story, love story. And I know summer's almost over with, but this is a good summer love story. In 2010, there was an attorney down in South Carolina. His name is, what is his name? Michael Hunley. And Michael had just sold his law practice. He was a corporate attorney. And he just sold his law practice. He decided, I want to sail around the world. Now, he, having grown up in Charleston, South Carolina, he already knew how to sail quite a bit. And he wanted to quit the law business and start being a novelist. He wanted to be a writer. This is a summer love story. So he quit. He sold his law firm in 2010, gathered together his wits and got a boat ready. And in 2013, he started on a voyage. He was going to sail to France and go by the Caribbean to get there. And he was sailing, he took off sailing on a small little 32-foot sailboat, a little ketch. And he got somewhere between Cuba and Haiti, and the storms came, of course, and started battering his small boat. And he had to call the Coast Guard to bail him out. That ship he had named Morning Glory. Well, he wasn't done yet. You see, Michael, he's kind of a hard-headed fella. He wasn't done yet, so he wanted to do it again. He still wants to sail. So in 2015, he gets another boat, gets it ready for sail, and he's going to call this one the Prodigal. And he's writing a book. He's writing a book about a stockbroker that's selling a ship, and someone stows away on it as they're sailing to Ireland. Well, it just so happens he's sailing to Ireland, and he's going to sail the course from Charleston, South Carolina. And he takes off, and he's sailing. And at the same time, in 2015, the Maine Maritime Academy out of the United States, the state of Maine, they were having a training mission, and they were getting the students ready. So they were taking a 90-day sales trip, or sailing trip. So they were already on the ocean sailing. And Michael was sailing from South Carolina to Ireland. He gets within 500 miles. He gets to Newfoundland, right off Newfoundland. And the storms come again. And they start battering his small little 32, 33-foot sailboat again. He didn't want to call for help this time. He wanted to make it on his own. So he tried to last it out, wait it out. But it didn't work. So he had to put out a distress call, and who would answer but the Maine Maritime Academy students. And they have a picture of him trying to get aboard their big ship from his little tiny ketch. This is 2015. And he's writing the book, The Prodigal. And he was unsuccessful again. Now, I will tell you something about Michael, though. And I can tell you this verbatim. He says, if you want experiences and you want opportunities, sometimes they're just not time to make a plan or a budget. And it's not time to have everything placed out and laid out before you. Because if you do, you miss out on a lot of life. Well, that's his philosophy. You can't plan everything. You can't budget for everything. Sometimes you have to leap and let the net appear. Well, I told you this is a love story, so I have to go a little bit further here and tell you the rest of Michael's story. 2016-17, he's in France. And he's going to try it again. He wants to sail from France back into around the world voyage, really some 7,000 miles. And he's found a 49-year-old vessel to sail. And of course it's not seaworthy at all. He's having it refitted in England right now. And then she comes. Her name's Jill Cromley. She's a school teacher from England. She teaches kindergarten. She teaches special needs children. She's never been on a boat in her life. But they meet and they become enchanted with each other. So he decides, the ship's ready, the boat's ready. I'm going to take a little voyage. And Jill's going to come with me. So they took a little 28-day voyage. And they both said, we didn't even fight. We've never fought. We sat, we watched the sun come up, and we watched the dusk come up over the ocean. We saw the stars at night. We saw the porpoises played, and we sang guitar. And we got along great for 28 days. And he named this boat the Nevermore, because this was going to be his last time. Well, to finish the story, they did get married. He did go on his last voyage in the Nevermore. And he did finish the book, The Passage. That's our love story. That's our summer love story. Leap and the net will appear. That's how Michael looked at life. Leap and the net will appear. I was looking at the Bible, and where in the Bible does it sort of say, leap and the net will appear? And then I ran across Ecclesiastes. And this is a part in the Bible where I think Abraham Lincoln even quoted from it in his address to Congress in 1862. Thomas Wolfe wrote, this is one of the most wonderful and robust and expressive books of the Bible in writings he's ever seen. Ecclesiastes. It was written about 400 to 200 BC. And it's about the musings of a king of Jerusalem. And some of the Jewish scholars say that it was written by King Solomon, but the regular biblical scholars say, no, that's not what happened. It's just written by someone that was a king of Jerusalem at the time, but we're not going to identify who it was. We're unsure because it was written over a 200-year period. And what Ecclesiastes does is it explains some of the well-lived life It explains how we should live life. Leap, and the net will appear. It goes into detail about that. If you'll allow me, I'm just going to read this to you. It says, Ecclesiastes 8 and 9 say, seize life, eat bread with gusto, drink with a robust heart. Well, that's where we get the phrase, eat, drink, and be merry. We get it from Ecclesiastes. Oh yes, God takes pleasure in your pleasure. Dress festively every morning. Don't skimp on colors and scarves. Relish life with a spouse or someone loved. Each day is God's gift. Make the most of each one. Whatever turns up, grab it and do it heartily. They don't say leap and the net will appear, but they could, couldn't they? This is your last and only chance at it. Now we have to understand this is the Old Testament, so they got to put this here in the end of it. For there's neither work to do or thoughts to think in the company of the dead. That's the Old Testament. But eat, drink, and be merry. That's where we get this from, Ecclesiastes. This service isn't about me at all, but it's a perfect way for me to make an illustrative point to you about leap and the net will appear. I started in the insurance business in 1976, or 1975 really, and was licensed in 1976. At that time, in 1976, we had such old and staid insurance agencies as Charles Lunsford, Bowling Izzard, Cheney Thomas, Stevenson, and Hill, some of the big boys. And these big boys wrote all the business from Whitfield, Tennessee, down to North Carolina, into Carolina, and up into Norfolk and Richmond, Alexandria. These agencies were big and powerful. We didn't have insurance agents on every corner. You didn't have State Farm, Allstate, Nationwide, Geico. You didn't have all that. You had these big insurance powerhouses. There was one insurance agency, and he was up in Salem. He's not there anymore. He only wrote one account. It was a national account. Back during 1978, when the oil embargo was going on, there was a firm up in Salem that said, I'm going to start manufacturing wood stoves that use pellets. And they manufactured wood stoves, and this is the only account that insurance agent wrote, was the wood stoves. But it went national, and he wrote on a national scale. And in the 80s and early 90s, Cheney Thomas, Stevenson, and Hill downtown, I remember when they went after Norfolk Western, the way now know it's Norfolk Southern, they went after Norfolk Southern, and all they wanted to write and handle was the business auto policy from Norfolk Southern. They were going to write that business auto for every vehicle on the road in 14 states. Every truck, every car in 14 states. And I remember when they got that account. Oh, there was a party downtown that day. Now, these are the people I had to cut my teeth against. Not Charles Lunsford Jr. or son, but the old man, Charles Lunsford. And Bowling Izzard. These are the people I had to compete against. And I was just a young whippersnapper. At the time, there was a printing of what was called, I don't know if they still print it, called the City Directory. And you pay $110, $150 for it, somewhere around there. It was a lot of money back then, in the 70s and 80s. And it was thick, it was this thick. And the front of it was all yellow pages. Now here's where it's so useful. The yellow pages, it would have every business listed in Roanoke, Salem, and Benton, and would have all the owners. Everybody's name, a florist. It would have who the president was, the treasurer, the secretary, so you could know who to make a call on. Gave you a little insight into who to talk to, who was the decision maker. And then the white pages was huge. And you could cross-reference with the white pages, and it had the list of every person's name, Roanoke, Salem, and Benton. And it had where they worked, what their occupation was, and who their spouse was, what they did. And then it went to just a sort of like a gray pages, and it was just nothing but addresses. 1827 Welton Avenue, that's where I grew up. It was in there, and it would have who the owner was, who lived there. So you just look up the address and you would know who lived there. And the back part, the blue part, was nothing but phone numbers. 344-6161. That was the old number for Gray and Purdue Insurance back then. So you could take this book for $110, $150, and you would know who to talk to. It gave a young whippersnapper someone to talk to, a name to go after. Now, here's a trick. I would get out of the car, and this is what I said. I didn't say leap and the net will appear, but I said this. I said, monkeys do fall out of trees. Sometimes monkeys fall out of trees, don't they? I have just as good a much chance as anybody else. Monkeys fall out of trees, Doug. You can do this. Leap and the net will appear. Leap and the net will appear. Many of you know, Wendy and I went on a vacation not long ago. We went to D.C. I'll share that with you. And I don't know how this happened to me, but I ended up at the National Zoo one day. I still don't know how that happened. But it was wonderful. They had gorillas, and they had elephants, all kinds of primates, and snakes, and everything else you'd want to look at. And we went to the primate house, and there I saw a silverback gorilla for the first time. Oh, they're big, they're huge, and massive, and scary, and beautiful. And as we were walking through the primate building, we came to, unbelievable, the orangutans. Oh, I need to tell you about orangutans. They are indigenous to Indonesia and Malaysia. They are called, their name orangutan means person of the forest. Well, you could confuse them for a person if you looked at their face, but never their body. They're covered in reddish-brown hair. The females get to about 4 feet high, and they weigh 84 pounds to 100 pounds. The males get to about 4'6", almost 5 feet tall, and they weigh upwards 168 to 200 pounds. They're pretty sizable animals. Well, we've looked at the orangutans, and I was just taken back by the orangutans. Gorgeous, gorgeous animals. And so we left the primate building. We were walking down further into the zoo, several hundred yards away, and all of a sudden, there's another building with this huge tall tower, 60, 75 feet in the air. And I looked on top of the tower, and there was Kyle, the male orangutan, sleeping up on top of the tower on a little ledge. And see, Kyle's covered. If you look at him, it's like looking at a mop. He's just covered with hair. Amazing. It looks like he has dreadlocks all over. Well, we're all looking at Kyle, and then all of a sudden, Ann Teg comes out of the building. She's the female. And she starts climbing the tower. And you're looking at her going, oh, isn't she cute? And then you notice on her back, she's got a baby. The baby's just this tall. Just a little thing, just this tall. And the baby's name is Red. So there's Bantag, the daddy cow, and Bantag's good friend, Iris. Bantag's climbing the tower, and she's got this little baby with her. And she's climbing up, and everybody sort of stands there, and you go, oh, be careful, Bantag, you know, you've got a baby with you, be careful. And she's going higher and higher, and she gets up to the top. And people moving away, you know, you want to give her room, moving away. And then she does the most amazing thing. There's a cable that runs from this tower to another one, maybe 100, 150 feet away, and then another one 100, 150 away, till they can roam free from their home base down to this other building. They're up in the treetops. That's where they belong. And you look at Bantag, and she's up on the tower. She's taking one hand after the other, going across the cable, and you're sort of holding your breath, going, take it easy, you got the baby with you. And then, what got over her, I don't know, she takes the baby off her back and places it on this cable. The baby's this tall, and the baby's little hands around the cable and barely going along, and everyone's breath is holding. You're going, oh, don't you know you've got a baby with you? You can hardly breathe. And they do that for just a few passes, a few hand passes, and all of a sudden, Bantag takes the baby and puts it back on the back. Leap, and the net will appear. You see, Bantag knew, she knew that she had to teach the baby to be up among the treetops, to take a chance. Nothing's planned out. To take a chance, to leap, and the net will appear. Bantag knew. I was sort of in closing, I want to share this with you. There's a small verse that says, do you want to know who you are? Do you want to know who you are? Don't ask. Take action. Actions will define you. Circumstances will never be perfect. You will make mistakes. Thomas Jefferson. Leap, leap, beloved, and the net will appear. Will you go within with me now? Father, we started the service off acknowledging you as the shepherd, taking care of every want, every need we have. And we also acknowledge, Father, thank you so much for instilling in us adventurous spirit. Instilling within us wanting to travel the oceans, wind in our hair, sun on our face. Thank you, dear God. Amen.
that message. It's time for the blessing of the gifts. So if the ushers will come forward. Join me now in a blessing for these gifts. Today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. Take a moment while the baskets are coming around to turn to people around you. Thank them for the special gift that they are and for the special gifts that they give.
Love you, Thank you, Grace. Thank you.
Good morning. Hey, it's the shorter than me. Yay! Okay, don't have a lot of announcements today, but I do have some other things that other people are going to talk about. Number one, we have a walk scheduled for next Saturday. Don't know where yet or whatever. And I guess it's also going to depend on if the storm hits next week. So we will make a one call later in the week and we'll decide what's going on with that. So anyhow, and also take your orders of service home. There's things in there that we do or going to do or whatever. Nothing's written in stone. We always change things. Most of the time we change things. So, but anyhow, take that order of service home. We can always print more. It's not a big deal. So please take those home. As you know, we've been talking about doing different things on Thursday night. So this past week we showed a movie. People were happy with that. So this coming Thursday night, Anne is going to do some craft stuff. And she's going to start out by doing, and some of us did this with Nancy, one of her classes, or I think it was in one of her classes. It's an affirmation book, and she's going to bring the stuff to make. So if you're coming, need to know, or she needs to know, so she'll know, make sure she's got enough material for everybody. So that will be this Thursday night, and she said that she'll start at 6:45 or later or whatever anybody wants. So we just need to know who's coming and what time suits everybody. Then the following Thursday, Pam is going to do a journaling class. I'm going to let her talk about that, and then Nancy's going to do something on the last Sunday. So Pam, you want to tell about what you're going to do about the journaling, about your class?
Oh, sure. I thought I would just start with an introductory class, maybe for about an hour, which is a thing that I've done in the past with other groups, to talk about what a journal is and share the different ways that we can journal. This would be a little group that where I give you a journal, and it'll have some things written in it so that you can start even while I'm talking or we're talking. And then maybe we can pick it up from there and do some journaling together. This is something you don't have to share. You can come and be inspired, or you can come and share, or you can come and do.
Okay, that will be not this, but and we'll get a schedule out, and we'll figure out the time that works for everybody for all these classes. And so then on the last Thursday of the month, Nancy has talked to me about doing a healing circle. Is that correct? So I'll let you just talk about it.
So one morning I woke up and I was inspired to, which inspiration is really great as opposed to like overthinking something, you know, you just wake up and there it is. So I talked to Jan about it, so I'm going to offer a healing circle the the last Thursday of every month. So it'll just be once a month, and I'll be doing it in the sanctuary and setting up the sanctuary as a sacred space with the electric candles and low lighting. And I'm going to ask you to leave all of your problems, your issues, and all your crap on the other side of the store. Because when you come in here, you're not gonna talk about your stuff. We're not gonna talk about it, we're not gonna discuss it. You know what you're working on. So, it'll be a space where there'll be no yakking in here. It'll just be totally experiential for about an hour. We'll be setting an intention for the evening, and then we would move into doing some qigong, which is you feeling your own qi, which is your inner energy. Very simple movements, very Tai Chi-like, but actually qigong predates Tai Chi and everything else. It's like 500 years older, actually. So we'll be doing a little bit of that, getting in touch with, I mean, you can actually feel it when you do the exercises. I mean, and they're not like exercises. They're very water-like. I mean, they're wonderful. Everybody can do them. It's matching with your breath and your intention. And then we'll be doing a self-healing meditation. And then we're going to be doing laying on of hands. For anybody who feels comfortable with that, it's really a wonderful, wonderful experience. And just being open, and it's like creating a space for us to be open and receptive to anything that we need to heal, whether it's emotional, psychological, spiritual. So this is a form of like energy medicine that we're doing on ourselves and on each other. And since we would be really working on people that we know and also self-healing, the last piece, which I think is also very important, is the compassion practice for the whole planet. And we'll be using music to do that, and we'll be doing some chanting. Wendy has agreed to assist me with the music. I have drums, different kinds of drums. I have an Indian round drum, and I have an Ashiko drum, which is an African drum, and guitar. Anybody that wants to bring a musical instrument. So we'll be doing a compassion practice, which is very Buddhist, for the whole planet, because the whole planet really needs it right now. And so if we're going to take care of ourselves and each other, I would also like to see us spend that time on the whole planet. My personal belief is that people who gather, especially with a shared intention, that it's very, very powerful. And so we are all powerful, I believe that. And so I just woke up and just had this idea, and then all the pieces just came together for me. I'm thinking it might be about an hour or so. I would encourage everybody to come. But you just leave the thoughts about what's wrong with your body or your mind or your spirit out there, but just come into this space open and receptive to receive. So last Thursday of the month is what we'll start with at 6:30.
All these are on Thursday, but not saying we can't move them. We don't have a class now on Monday nights, and we've got Tuesday nights free too. So going forward, we may change some of these things, whatever that person and that group wants to do. That's their group, and that's what, and you all decide what you want to do with it. I like everybody to be involved in something in the church. That's why we like to change things up and do different things so that everybody can get involved. I mean, you might not like to do crafts, you might like to do this, whatever. So I want to have everybody, this is your church, this is your time, your place. So I want you to do things that make you happy here. So anyhow, with that being said, we'll move on. We will have our Wednesday night class. As far as I know, Marita will be back from the beach again. So anyhow, she's really enjoying herself this summer, and I'm very happy for that. But she will be back Wednesday night at 5 o'clock. We will have our service here unless something changes. Other than that, I have nothing else. Move on.
All right, family, moving on. Our last hymn today is number 86, It Is No Secret. Number 86, we'll sing both verses, so let's stand when we're ready. Page 86.
Boy, this is hard, isn't it? Hand in hand.
Sorry for the confusion.
Father, Mother God, we remember the song, "Everything is in your hands." The sun, the moon, the whole of earth, everything is in divine order. We go forward this week with love and an adventuresome spirit. In Christ's nature, amen.
Amen.